Hey everybody, welcome to I guess we're calling this the How Did You Happen podcast. We have to say that right at the beginning and make it sound all official and junk like that. So, welcome everybody. We're going to have a super fun, extra exciting chat today talking about elder care, which is, I think, everybody's favorite topic. I did a quick poll of myself, and it's not my favorite topic, but I'm still going to talk about it. Yeah, I didn't do a poll, obviously. But the point is, it is a big, rich topic, and it's affecting my life right now. So I've kind of been going through some stuff, and I thought this is a good thing to chat about. So maybe something in here will help other people out a little bit, or at least give you a little more insight into what other folks are doing. So that's why I'm talking about it. It's kind of one of those things that nobody really teaches you how to do, which I assume is the same for people with kids. So, like, here's a baby, good luck. That's kind of how it feels here. Like, I'm just doing the thing I think I'm supposed to do. There's no training. Well, there probably is training on how to properly perform elder care, but I didn't get any of it. So let's just put it that way. So we'll start with a little background here. And I think it's important to kind of lay the groundwork and a little bit of understanding of where we are. So my mom is 82 this year. She just turned 82. And she lived nearby for several years. When we moved to our current home, she was in the next town over for about 10 years. But the house started to get too much for her, so we decided she needed to be closer. And interestingly enough, a house literally next door to us went up for sale. It was not a good choice. We thought it was going to be. There was an auction of this house. Actually, it was auctioned off because the people who were living there, I don't know what they were doing, but there were used needles in the house. So that kind of gives you an indication of what's going on. At any rate, the house went up for auction. We went to the auction. We didn't win the auction. Another guy did, and turns out he's a real nice guy. He fixed the place up and did all the stuff that we didn't end up doing. So I'm glad he got it. I think it worked out well for him. And honestly, it worked out better for us too to not get it. What we ended up doing instead was turning our garage into an in-law apartment. So obviously it's a flat slab garage. It was a two-car garage, so it's pretty good size. 700 square feet, give or take. We have a little mud room between our house and the garage, which was more than little. It was actually quite large. So we cut that in half, turned half of it into a part of the apartment space. So it really worked out well. We end up with this really nice setup where there's a newer, more modern in-law apartment that's basically like, it's not a studio apartment because it's got a bedroom, but it's basically a one-person apartment. Got a nice little bathroom, sweet little kitchen and living space, and it works out really well for my mom. And there's no stairs, that kind of stuff. So it suits her quite well. There's one step, so there's one step up into what was the mudroom area. So to get to her bathroom, she takes one step. Other than that, basically a ranch. So that's really cool. And if you are ever in a position where you need to have an in-law apartment situation and you have the ability to choose anything about it, if I can say one thing, choose to have some kind of mudroom airlock separator between you and that other place. Don't just share a wall if you can avoid it. Have some kind of a room in between you, some kind of space in between you. That is gold. It's the greatest thing ever because we can be loud and we don't have to worry about waking her up. We don't hear her. There's just enough room between us that we don't hear each other. So if you're in the position where you're thinking about doing an in-law apartment, do that. But anyway, on to like the elder care side of this. So mom moved into this in-law apartment, which worked out really well. She loves it there. She thinks it's great. And she's very mobile. She doesn't need additional help with things particularly. She'll leave me notes. I've got a bench in the mudroom where I put on my boots and stuff like that, and she'll like leave notes on that bench. So she'll leave a note like, hey, can you help me hang up a quilt on the wall? Because she did a lot of quilting and she wants to hang her quilts up. She's moved, puts up new quilts depending on the season and that kind of stuff. So she'd ask for stuff like that, or she'd get a piece of mail that she didn't understand. And I would essentially, look through the mail and say, like, okay, this is just spam, or this actually matters. We need to deal with it, or whatever it is. So little things. It wasn't really all that much. So that was kind of my experience with elder care. It was very low key, kind of just a little here, a little there. It wasn't really care. It was just being a neighbor, which was fine. Like that's easy to manage. Just being a neighbor to somebody, that was pretty easy. But things changed quite a bit about a month ago. And the reason things changed is because mom got a shoulder replaced. So her left shoulder, she had that replaced. It had been becoming worse. Anyway, it was time. So she had that done, which means now she has one arm out of commission. And that's kind of interesting. You don't realize how much it matters to have both of your arms functioning until one of them doesn't. It's like think about a part of your body right now that experiences no pain. Like that part is fine, but now pretend it hurts all the time. It's like everything you have to do changes in some way because of that one little thing. So she's now in this position where she's got one arm out of commission. It's in a sling. She can barely move it, and that brought up a lot of things that had to be dealt with that I wasn't really thinking about before that happened. I knew there was going to be some, going to have to help you a little bit with some things here and there, sure. But it was a lot. It actually was quite a bit. And it's more than just the usual stuff. And all that usual stuff of, hey, what does this mail mean? Or can you help me hang a quilt? All those things, those happen anyway. But on top of it is all these additional things. And it's all the stuff that you don't really want to think about, like help me get dressed and help me shower, like not the kind of things that you are like, I can't wait to help my parents do these. And I will say, actually, I did have a little bit of training for this because my father, he had an accident and became partially paralyzed. So he was stuck in a wheelchair for the last couple of years of his life. And mom basically handled all that. That's when they were living independently, they were living alone. She basically did all that. But there were a couple times where when I would go over to visit, they would, dad would need my assistance with things that I don't know if he didn't want mom helping or what the deal was, but so I helped with a little bit of the like bathroom things and stuff. So I kind of had a little bit of experience with this and knowing what it would be like, but it's different, I think, to expect something and kind of feel like you know what it's going to be and then to actually do it. So, for instance, the biggest piece of this really has been helping her change. She's got the sling on, and not only is a sling for her arm that should be kept in a specific position all the time, but it was kind of complicated. It had a bunch of straps and things, and she did not know how to use it, which is fine. I kind of get that. I mean, they showed us at the hospital how to put it together, and I basically understood it. So that was now my job. Like whenever she needed to do something where that had to come off or go back on, that was my job now. Which didn't happen a lot. I mean, I'm not saying this is like, 10 times a day or anything, but twice a day. In the morning, she wants to change out of her pajamas and into day wear of some kind. And then in the evening, we go in the other direction. So that's twice a day, which, yeah, maybe it's only 10 minutes each, but that's now like this pretty significant mental load of a thing that you have to do outside of your comfort zone. And I guess I'm what I'm really stressing is like That's a lot. It really is. And we're just talking about it, right? We're not actually in the middle of doing it. But imagine the whole time you listen to this episode of How Did We Get There? How did we get here? This whole time you listen to this episode, it's like that's the amount of time it takes to do one of these things. Because also, she's 82, so she's not moving super fast. She's got all day. She's got nothing to do, you know? Meanwhile, I want, in my brain, I'm thinking, well, let's just get this over with so I can go do something that I want to do. Because for me, it's not fun. I'm trying to make it more fun in my head and pretend that, this is actually okay, everything's fine, not a big deal. And that's really hard to do. I think I've gotten a little bit in that direction, but I could go a lot further. And I just haven't made it there yet. It's been challenging to say the least. So it's been weird, and like helping somebody change their clothes it's a really strange experience. Like she doesn't care. This is the good thing about it. She doesn't care. I think that's a good thing. Like she'd stand around naked and she wouldn't be concerned about it. I don't like it. Like it's uncomfortable for me. And I told her as much. In fact, this is great. So this is the kind of person she is. She thinks everything is basically funny, or she tries to make everything funny, which is that's good in its own way, but um, like not everything's funny, even though you're trying to make it that way. So after a couple of weeks, maybe after 2 weeks of helping her change, then she started saying, when I'd knock on her door and come over, and then she'd say, "Hey, is it time to strip your mother?" I'm like, "Oh my God, Mom, you can't say that. That is no good. Like, you got to understand, like, that may be funny for you because you don't care, but I do care and I don't love that." So I had to be very upfront with her. Like, setting those boundaries, I think, was really important so that she'd understand, like, walking in and saying something that's inappropriate and uncomfortable, let's not do that. Which seems like a little thing, but I'm realizing I'm gonna have to be more cognizant of her doing things that are technically not okay. Like societally inappropriate. Time to strip your mother. Ugh, God. I don't know why I keep thinking. Now I've got that stuck in my head, and I wish it wasn't in there. So I'm going to talk about a different thing. But anyway, that's a thing. It's like those are the kinds of little things that as you get into doing anything elder care related, you're going to realize you didn't know you had to know. So up front, just keep in mind, get ready for inappropriate stuff that you're not going to like. But I'm glad I'm here to help. I think overall it's a good thing. For instance, she had a bunch of medications when she came home. She had all kinds of stuff. They gave her like 5 medications to take when she came home. And she's not on any medications, by the way. She's a very healthy person overall. She takes a multivitamin every day, and that's it. Like, she's not on anything else. So when we came home, we had a couple pain medications. Then they also gave her like vitamin C because they want her, it's just to ward off infection and being sick and that kind of thing. Vitamin C is good for that. They also gave her a low dose aspirin, so those little baby aspirins that are like 81 milligrams, which, by the way, 81? What the heck? Why? I need to look that up. Like, why is it 81 milligrams? That seems very specific. Anyway, that's a topic for another time. But they gave her those, and then also some laxatives because the pain medications can cause constipation. So okay, that all makes sense. So it was a little bit of a task getting her medication lined up in a proper way. And if you haven't dealt with medication before, I'd just tell you, like, here's how we did it. This is what I did. We had 2 pieces of paper. We did 5 medications, right? 2 pieces of paper. 1 piece of paper was where she could write down what she was taking for any pain management each day. And the other one was just to make sure that she took these non-pain things like at morning and at night, and that was it. So the morning night paper was the vitamin C, the aspirin, and this laxative pill. So she would know, like, okay, take one of these in the morning, take one in the evening, or whatever it was, right? Simple. And she would write it down on there because she can't remember stuff. So she'd write down, like, Monday, check. She took them. Monday breakfast, Monday dinner, that kind of thing. So we could go back and look and see, what did you take? When did you take it? Okay, you've taken the same, the right amount of everything at the right times. And the pain medication was similar, but it wasn't make sure you take it every day. It was more make sure you know when you took it if you plan to take more, because those are more of an as needed, but there's a maximum amount you got to be careful about. So, like, you don't want to take 15 Tylenol in a day. That's not good for your liver. So it was really good to kind of break it up that way. So on the pain medication page, piece of paper, she had just written down, like, Monday, one Tylenol, whatever it was, right? So we know what she was taking. And what was it? Oxycodone, I think, is the other one she had, and that's actually why she had the laxative, because oxycodone will definitely constipate you if you're not careful, or even if you are careful, it probably does it anyway. She ended up taking like 3 of those, so it really wasn't a big deal. But that pill management is super important. And we actually ended up with a little bit of an incident around the laxative. And I'm sure you're already envisioning exactly what that incident was, and you're probably not wrong. Basically, it came down to um, she needed some help one morning because, oops, she had diarrhea. And I never thought I would be at a point in my life where my 81-year-old mother needed me to help clean her up because she had diarrhea. So, little fun things like that make elder care just super exciting and interesting. And I'm sure if you're going through this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, it's super weird to be in that position. I've never been there. This position of having to help clean up another human who can't do it themselves. Okay, that's a little bit of a lie. I had one experience with my dad while he was in a wheelchair and all this. So I had one with him, but now I've had it with my mother as well. It's a strange role reversal situation to be in. And I don't and again, it's like this funny situation too where I don't think she particularly cares. Like, she wants the problem solved, but she doesn't feel, ashamed, or I don't know, ashamed isn't the right word, but self-conscious about it. She doesn't really feel like that. She's just like, yeah, whatever, no biggie. Which I guess I'm glad. The alternative would be awful if she just felt terrible the whole time too, and then we both walk away going, ugh, that was a terrible experience. So I guess I'm glad that at least she doesn't feel that. But I'd be much happier if I didn't have to feel it at all either. So we're about a month in at this, about a month and a week. And I will say things have gotten a lot better. Like when she first came home from the hospital after having her shoulder replaced, it was a lot more work. She could do barely anything with that arm, right? She could hold things with her hand, but that was kind of it. So, like, getting the sling on and off was a big challenge, changing shirts. She couldn't reach her shoes, she couldn't deal with her pants and all that stuff. The good news is that about 5 weeks later now, she can pretty much do all those things again that she couldn't do. She still has her arm in a sling, but it's more of a reminder not to do crazy things with that arm than a necessary thing to have a sling on. You know what I mean? It's like holding her arm in place isn't really as much of an issue anymore. It's more about, hey, remember not to, like, reach out quickly with that arm and do something that'll make it hurt. So she can at least mostly change her clothes now. I just do a little bit of help at the beginning, or at the end of that to help her with the sling, because just getting that thing strapped on is a little difficult. But it's not too bad. So I think this has been a good experience for me to kind of go through some of this stuff. It's teaching me a lot more about helping other people than I guess I ever really thought about or imagined. It's kind of odd, but it's a good place to be. I know it's going to come back around. Like things are getting better right now, where she's becoming more independent again and kind of getting back to her normal self, which is great. But I also know in the back of my mind that this is going to happen again, right? It's going to come back around. This is really training for the next phase, which I don't know when that's going to happen. She just turned 82, so it's probably not too far away. But I'm hoping she'll stay independent here. And okay, I'm going to say something terrible, absolutely horrible, but also completely reasonable, which is I hope she doesn't get to, I hope she just stays independent until the very end. That would be the best. Actually, maybe none of that's horrible. Still, that's what I'm hoping will happen. Like, I hope she's just like, she's kicking it, she's having a good time. Like, she loves living here, you know? She's having a great time. She said she feels blessed and happy. That's great. I couldn't ask for more than that. That's like the perfect place for her to be. So I'm hoping, this is the horrible part. I'm hoping that just happens. She just stays like that, and like the day things start to go downhill and she starts to get unhappy, she just dies in her sleep. Like I know that's a terrible thing to say, but like I want it to be the situation that's easy on everybody. Like she's happy up until the end, and I'm happy up until the end. That's what I want. Maybe dying in your sleep isn't the best way to do that, but like she's. Oh, by the way, and that may sound like Skip wants his mother to die, and no, I don't want that. But what I want is things to be good for everybody, for as long as they can be. And she's okay with it. Like if she were to die in her sleep tomorrow, she'd be okay with that. Which sounds weird, but I know this is true because we've kind of talked about it a little bit. Also, when she went into surgery to get her shoulder replaced, she told the doctor ahead of time, if I die on the table, it's okay. I've had a good life. Like she actually told the doctor that. So she's not kidding around. Anyway, all things told, I think this has, as I've said, been a good experience. I don't wish it on anybody, but if you have to go through it, maybe it'll work out okay for you. Maybe this podcast will help you understand a little bit what other people go through. And that's it. Oh, and also, one last thing about this too. I think it'll be easier for people who have kids. Because if you've had kids, you've had to do all these things for other humans already, right? You've had to clean them up after they poop all over themselves and things like that, right? You've had to like manage putting their clothes on them and making sure that they have food and whatever. I never had that. We don't have kids, so I don't have that experience. So I feel like, at least if you have kids, you've had a little training for having elderly parents. And that's probably going to come in really useful. And hopefully, if you had kids, they get out of the house. And then by the time you have elderly parents, you've got some time to ease back into it over a few years rather than it just suddenly being dropped in your lap. So I would say that that'd probably be helpful. And the only other thing or the other major thing I think I've learned from this is that boundaries really matter. Like I said, the airlock that we have between rooms or between her place and our place, absolute gold standard. Don't miss out on having that. I think things would be a lot different if we just shared a wall and there was a door between us. So that's about all I've got to say on that topic. I think I'm going to close it out. I think that's good discussion. I hope you find this helpful. And that's the jazz, man. It's been fun having you. Talk to you soon. Sun's up, come on in. Got ideas, let's begin. Hey, little chat for your day. We're glad you came.